the channel in the link in the chat here, so that anyone watching later on can see that and just click the link if the redirect doesn't redirect, on the replay. Okay, great. So everyone else that's live, we're going to do that transition. Let me, Forte, can you get the link to that and put it in the chat real quick?
Sure can.
All right.
Anything for the homie?
Oh my gosh.
What?
Nothing. I said nothing, man.
Don't be like that.
What is? No, that's not it. You titled it "Waiting for That Xbox Business."
Yeah.
That's all I see. Okay. All right. So that is set up now, and we're going to go ahead and get that transition going. Forte, you ready?
Yeah, ready.
All right.
Copy link, and I am posting it in this one.
Yeah. Go ahead and put that in there before I do this redirect, because if you do it later, it's not going to show up.
Harmonious and control paste. Why is it hiding? Oh, there it is. And control paste.
I don't see anything. Oh, there it is. Cool. All right. So you can click the link if you're watching the replay, or if you are still here live, like the 30 of you guys, then we can just head over it, and you do have to hit the button, I think. But yeah.
Yes, I hit the button on my PC, and it took me there magically. Magic took me there.
All right. Oh boy. I'll give everyone a moment to come in, and also I'm going to tweet the new link out to everybody on Twitter, and then we can get started. All right. So it's been a week. It has been a roller coaster of a week. People have given up their fandom. People have sold Xboxes. People have cussed out executives. People have called certain executives a bald-headed bee. People have, it's been wild out here, okay? Wild. And with all of that has been going on, it's all due to rumors. And there have been people that we know that have been involved in it. And I want to say this, that I don't like the side of the gaming community that gets petty and ignorant. And when I say that, I'm talking about the people who, with zero evidence, are like, oh, this person doesn't work at this company. Why? Oh, because I checked their Twitter timeline and all they're talking about is PlayStation games. That's stupid. That's dumb. That's not any indication that someone does not work at a particular company. Nor is it fine for people to start sending death threats, doxing, doing all of the really stalker, weirdo kind of energy to find personal information about someone. You are not doing yourself any favors. You're not doing the gaming community any favors. And you're clearly not, it's not helping you cope with what clearly is the inevitable. And what am I talking about, Slomo? What is the inevitable? The inevitable is what was rumored to happen, and these rumors are substantiated by a number of people in games media who have sources at Microsoft, at Xbox leadership and Microsoft Gaming, that Xbox and their leadership were planning on launching many of their first-party exclusive games on the PlayStation and Nintendo Switch. Now, what games am I talking about? I'm talking about Starfield, Hi-Fi Rush, an unannounced Gears collection that people have called the Marcus Phoenix collection, but that would be Gears, a remaster / remake of Gears 1 through 3. That's not even been announced yet. Forza Horizon 5, a major successful arcade racing game. Hellblade 2, and potentially more released on the Nintendo Switch and PlayStation. And this has caused, these rumors that happened all last weekend has caused a huge uproar in the gaming community, where many Xbox gamers, as I said before, giving up their fandom, selling their Xboxes before we even get an official word. Now, last Monday, in a response to this, Phil Spencer released a statement on X / Twitter where he said that, let me find the official statement that a lot of people has some problems with.
Why Slow-Mo's doing that, for all our viewing list or our YouTube listeners, or people watching the video, how does it look on the screen to see that 6 titles are being like rumored to be going to other platforms? Now, if you're a PlayStation fan, you might love this, but if you're an Xbox fan, you're kind of in your feelings about it. You feel like Xbox and Microsoft are kind of throwing away their heritage and everything. It's kind of crazy, but tell me what you think of the screen that says multiplats on it for games that you
Well,
thought
first, I
were
want
going
to
to
say
be.
that's a beautiful thumbnail.
Ain't it?
That's a beautiful,
Hey,
for real. That's a beautiful thumbnail.
Forte put some loving care into that thumbnail. Like, he hit me up, what you think? I'm like, yeah, that's it, man. That's it.
I made that boy from scratch this morning.
That's nice, man.
That's the future of Xbox right there, y'all. At
Well,
least
Forte,
that's what it looks like.
Can I answer your question, Forte?
Yeah, what's
I
up?
think it's multi-layered. It depends on who you ask. And over the years, I've had various levels of blocks and shut-ups and this and that. So to answer your question, how does that make them feel? It depends on who you talk to. Like some have stood on their square. They ain't feeling this because they've always felt exclusives matter. Then you have a group who, they acquiesce to being told that exclusives don't really matter. So they're like, yeah, exclusives don't really matter. And then you have that, they kind of pour over into another group that says, I wish everything was on everything. And I never understood that logic. First of all, like in the games, like it's like, what would be the purpose and the point of having various platforms if everything is just going everywhere? The only thing that would separate that is the fact that you might have a friends list or whatever, and that's where you kind of go. But I never understood that logic. But you have people that felt that way. So it depends on who you're asking. Because, we went through a long stretch where exclusives didn't matter because a platform didn't have any. But now exclusives matter.
Put a pin in that, because I want to talk about this tweet that Phil Spencer dropped at 3 p.m. last Monday and has been viewed by nearly 14 million people. We're listening and we hear you. We've been planning a business update event for next week where we look forward to sharing more details with you about our vision for the future of Xbox. Stay tuned. This is the response. So let me unpack that for a little bit. This is the response for basically a disaster of a weekend where plans that, like, there is no, clearly some of this stuff is true based off the statement alone. We're listening and we hear you is always a statement made by companies when they're trying to get people to become to terms with something that's difficult to hear. if this none of this stuff was true, it would be a very easy, all that rumors you heard, it ain't true. That's
Mhm.
it. Shut it down. It's over. But
Yeah,
clearly, at
which they would
least
have done
some of
weeks
it,
ago, actually.
right. But clearly, some of it or all of it is true. For you to give me the tried and true, we're listening and we hear you. And that's always preceded before they hit you with the telling you exactly what you did not want to hear and that nothing is changing. But hey, look, we hear you. We're listening to how upset you are. But that doesn't really track, honestly. Like this is why that doesn't track. There have been people that out here that are trying to gaslight Xbox gamers into thinking that this is, hey, look, what are you guys upset about? They've been talked about this. They've been said this, and that's only true if you've been if you've been only listening to half the story. There are interviews, multiple interviews, where they said that ZeniMax Media was acquired to bring Xbox gamers exclusive content. Phil Spencer has said that multiple times. He's also said multiple times that these games will live where Game Pass exists, and that's it. He said that multiple times. Also, when it came to ABK, multiple times, and either under oath with the FTC, they said they were putting these games to the Game Pass. Are these games in Game Pass yet? It's been 4 months. Now, a single ABK game post acquisition has showed up in Game Pass yet. And there are rumors that Call of Duty won't be in Game Pass. So the people who have been trying to gaslight Xbox gamers into thinking that it's your fault that you're upset, that why are you upset? It's not that more people are playing these games. It's that you marketed your platform for having these games that no one can find anywhere else. And if people out here bought an Xbox with that in mind, you lied to them. If you show up on Monday and you tell people that these games are no longer exclusive to the Xbox, you've lied. You've reneged on the promise that you gave them. And people have every right to feel a kind of way about that. Let me also talk about some of these insiders. And look, some of y'all I'm cool with, right?
You're throwing up air quotes, right?
Yeah. No.
You must throw. You
They
have to
know
throw up air
stuff.
quotes, quote unquote.
They know stuff, and also some of the content creators as well. Some of them
Quote
I'm
unquote.
cool with.
Yeah.
You cannot be the person that's like, y'all overreacted when you were the first person overreacting. You can't be like, man, some people gonna feel real foolish next week. When you were the main one talking about what you heard, what games that you heard were coming, riling your community up. Like, the hypocrisy is ridiculous. Yeah, and it's just like, you can't be that guy that says that when you were one of the first people pushing that argument. Like, come on. And another thing, before I let you guys go, I just want to say, because like I put out a tweet yesterday, and I saw from, shout out to the Spawn Wave channel, which has a number of different, it's a massive channel, primarily a Nintendo channel as far as content goes, but huge channel, plenty of people do that. Rhyme is actually, Slow-Mo, you overreacting now. No, I'm not. What am I overreacting to? It's not an overreaction to say, if you do this, that's a bad idea or you lied to people. That's just stating facts, Erodimus. Sorry that you have to say it so plainly, but I put the results of a poll out. This poll had been out for a day on the Spawnwave channel, and the poll is the same poll that Forte has put up here on our channel. What is the main reason you purchase your console? Is it exclusive? Even though this poll has less options than the Twitter poll that was on the channel, there was a community poll, not a during a live stream kind of poll. It had 5 options. This one has 4, but shockingly, the results of our current poll going right now mirror what the poll results were for Spawnwave. So 48, the last time I looked at it, 48,000 people have voted in that poll. And overwhelmingly, 70% of that 48,000 people chose exclusive games as the reason why they chose that platform. Now, I'm going to say this because I already know the very reaction of the people who disagree with this, disagree with the poll, want to say, oh, it's skewed because of it's just a hardcore audience. You didn't poll casual gamers. All of that may be true, but do you have any evidence, any polls, any data that shows the opposite is true? Do you have any evidence that casual gamers feel differently? And everything that people point to when they try to ignore the results of this poll, everything they point to is the most played games on the platform. How is most played games on a platform the same as why someone bought a platform? I will bring up the example of myself with the PlayStation 4 once again. In 2015, I bought my PlayStation 4 because I saw Until Dawn at E3. And I said, that game looks like what a Telltale game should look like visually. I like horror games. It's digging into the horror genre, but the campy. Yeah, I'm like, this game's fire. I'm getting this. And then I found out it was only on PlayStation. And I said, well, damn. Guess what I got to do? I got to buy me a PlayStation. And that's what I did.
Do that, Slow-Mo? Why would
because
you do
that? Because it was the only place a game I wanted to play was available. Now, now,
that's not you acting like a consumer and a gamer, though, is it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, like,
that can't be.
It can't be, right? Now,
no.
Is Until Dawn the most played game for me on PlayStation? No. The game sold like 5 million or less than that. But just because I've played other games on PlayStation 4 more than Until Dawn does not change the fact that it's because of Until Dawn that I own a PlayStation 4. Do you see? They are 2 different arguments here. There are 2 different questions here. Why did you buy the platform? People don't buy, for the majority, don't buy a platform for a game that can be played everywhere else. And when people say, but Slow-Mo, what about Call of Duty? Okay, let's talk about Call of Duty. What did PlayStation have for the past almost decade in Call of Duty that Xbox did not have?
Not exclusive content, Slow-Mo.
Yes, exclusive content. They got betas first. They got more loadouts. They get access to more. You get more experience, more double XP weekends, more than you get on Xbox. Is that shockingly a reason why people play that? You know, shout out to the homie Sycamore. I was talking to Sycamore earlier today. Sycamore was telling me that in Europe, that back in the day, FIFA used to be really popular on, I think he said, the Xbox 360 and back then they had exclusive soccer. I'll say soccer because we Americans, so we say soccer. Sorry, Europeans and the rest of the world, we're American. But they had exclusive soccer players on Xbox that PlayStation didn't have. And so the game's so much more on Xbox. I wonder why. Is it because it's exclusive freaking content? That's the point. When you have exclusive content, people will go where they get more, especially when it's the same price. This isn't really like, shouldn't be shocking. Look at all your purchases. Why do so many of the Xbox gamers in general own an Xbox? Could it be for Halo? Could it be for Gears? Isn't that how you got in the platform in the first place? You didn't get in the platform for Madden.
Isn't that how Xbox kind of solidified their spot as being taken serious because of Halo? Like they got everybody's eyes on it.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's how I remember it.
It's obvious. And so I in my rant here about this, to pivot to if I'm gonna phrase this as if, because there are people who are like, you're overreacting. And we're talking about like what has been reported. People consider anything that they don't agree with an overreaction. I think they are overreacting to other people's opinions.
If they don't like what you're hating.
Yeah. Right. This would be the death of Xbox if they did this. The console, not Microsoft Gaming, not Microsoft, clearly, because Microsoft is the richest company in the world. And Microsoft Gaming, because they own ABK now, so they're never like exiting the gaming industry. They are solidified in gaming forever. But Xbox, the platform, the console, the brand, this would be killing it. You need exclusive content to build your platform. I know there are people out there that have been saying that like, oh, well, things are changing and the future is different and this won't be like that in the future. Based on what? Based on what data do you have that the future would be different? Nintendo, their platform is what it is due to exclusive content to get people in the platform. Mm-hmm. PlayStation gets people into their platform due to exclusive content. What you do in the future to Xbox when they drop new hardware, which is rumored to be 2026, is if they go forward with this, you are now telling people Xbox is irrelevant because I can get those games, even major games that they quote unquote said that they acquired publishers for, that's Starfield, on this platform. I don't need an Xbox because I get the exclusive games that PlayStation makes. I got all the multiplats that everyone wants, that everyone has, and I got the exclusive first-party games that come from Xbox over here. That's the only console that I need.
And not to cut you off, can I say this real quick, Slow-Mo? I'll let you keep going. What's the first thing Xbox do say when it comes to PlayStation? Well, I bought the PlayStation for their exclusives.
Yep.
So I don't know about you. I'm not about throwing money away on something that I don't want. I don't have things in my house that I don't like or want. So you obviously enjoy an exclusive game here and there. But continue, Slow-Mo, please. I just want to throw it out.
Yeah, because it's just like what you bought the console for doesn't mean that's all you're going to play forever. You're going to play other games. And clearly Fortnite is like top 3 game, Minecraft top 3 game on every platform that's out there.
2K.
That's where 2K, it's everywhere, and it's what's going to be played everywhere. But that doesn't change the fact of why you bought it in the first place. And I think if they do this, there will be a slow erosion of support from the brand, the hardcore Xbox gamers, and the casual gamers will absolutely just ignore Xbox even more than they currently do. The current Xbox Series X and S is not doing significantly. The last thing I saw was it was trending behind sales wise the Xbox One. You can bet that's going to
Which is
get
wild.
even worse in the future, right?
That's
and so
wild.
this is and I'm not, for those who are like, well, because clearly that poll had other people who voted for other things. People say, hey, like where my friends play is the reason why I choose a console. And hey, that was represented in Spawnwave's poll. 7% of that 48K chose that option too. So that's fine, but that's not enough to keep a platform going. 4% of our poll says where our friends play. Where my friends play.
And
but
right now, it seems like friends
75%,
are picking PS5.
yeah. So again, that's a problem. Because if your friends, even though it's less important now than it was, say, back in the day. Back in the day, there were less multiplayer games. There wasn't crossplay. So, now like when I'm playing Call of Duty with Taz and Forte, we're literally playing on three separate gamers playing on three separate platforms. I'm playing on PC, Taz is playing on his Xbox Series X, and Forte is playing on PS5. Three different platforms. That was not possible. Right. That wasn't possible a decade ago, or even further back. Now, and I think there's a lot of casual gamers who don't get that. They don't, cross-play and cross-save is still fairly new concepts and features that we get in gaming today. So I think there are a lot of people, casual gamers, that still say, hey, yo, new systems coming out. Where are we playing? Yeah. Not knowing that it doesn't really matter, because if you're playing multiplayer games with your friends, it doesn't matter where you play them. You could play on your phone, actually, for a lot of these games. You could play on a laptop browser through cloud. You probably won't enjoy it, but you can do that. And I think these are things that are that people need to understand, that like you can't give up these games. And there's rumors that what this really is a tug of war, a civil war within the Xbox, and they got too many Chiefs and not enough Indians over there. There needs to this double two-faced, never really understanding or knowing where you're going, having to about face every 2 years with a different plan and a different path forward. People get tired of that. And it's because of that even if they have one game that goes over the PlayStation, the prevailing thought is going to be, well, eventually they'll all go.
Yeah.
So if you willingly put one game on that platform that was exclusive, that you said would not be exclusive, then yeah, a lot of people, well, it would be no different than all of them going. So I'm off my soapbox.
No, because at that point you're basically just kind of saying, like, we're easing the chip in. That's all. That's
right.
Much,
and we all know where that's going to end up going.
Yeah, so
very soon it's going to be the Shaft 2. I very explicit, but hey, it is what it is.
I played that game before.
Right. So now Eric, go ahead. Since you're talking, what are your thoughts on this whole thing?
I mean, there's so many places to start with this, but I'm going to start with the the old face of the content creator, because you get the message of, It might not be as bad as we thought, right?
Mm-hmm.
So to kind of piggyback on what you were just saying, no one knows what that means. And like Erodimus pointed out, it's all rumor and speculation. But I'm gonna say this much: like you said, is when you lead in with "we hear you, we're listening" and all this stuff, that's not throwing cold water on it. And nobody throws cold water on things faster than Microsoft and Xbox. When they know something is definitely not true and the rumor and it's flying around, it's going crazy, because I think they did this around something when Starfield launched. Aaron Greenberg was the first one jumping out the window. No, that's deaded. That's done. Right.
Right.
They Phil jumps out there. Nope, that ain't how it's going down. Rest assured, we got your back. They haven't done any of that, and this fire has been building over I know people saying the last week. This has been kind of building since January.
For a few weeks. Yeah, it's been about a month. Yeah, because it started with a known leaker, Nate the Hate, saying that there was a very high profile Xbox exclusive that's going to the Nintendo Switch and PlayStation.
Right. So I kind of look at it like this: like whatever the announcement will be, it's gonna be somewhere in between the most hyperbolic stuff we've been hearing to the little bit more grounded stuff we're hearing. It's probably not going to be everything that you want to hear, but I think people are kind of setting themselves up. It's like, well, if I set myself up for disappointed, I can't be that disappointed. So I'll just kind of say, well, it's still rumor and speculation, and it's probably just saying it's not going to be as bad, but not going to be as bad may still not be good, because
yes,
if you're going from hearing that all your stuff may be going over to, well, it's not all of it, it's just this. Like you just pointed out, Slow-Mo, that's still not good. You still kind of opening that door. You're kind of leaving it there. And I imagine the reason that they still haven't come right out and to throw cold water on, they're like, well, we need a week to figure this out. It's probably because this rumored, I'm throwing up air quotes again, like this internal battle that's supposedly happening within the walls of Xbox and Microsoft right now, which I imagine is probably exactly, we all work for corporate places, when you know how that rolls, right? But I'd imagine if they're trying to get their ducks in a row, they're talking to legal. I imagine they're talking to legal along with people in HR, but they're definitely talking to legal, because legal has to figure out, can we be sued by any of this? From what you were saying a moment ago, Slow-Mo, like, because you said this, or do we leave ourselves open to the FTC coming back at us? All these different things. So they got to get ducks in a row before they can come out and say anything, because they're definitely teetering on some stuff that wasn't promised and wasn't said. If this is true, again, I don't want anybody to be upset because we're talking rumors on a podcast. This is a show. The show will be really short if we just say, yeah, it's going to be fine. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if it'll be detrimental, but like they're pointing out, like you were saying, a moment ago, who had this on their bingo card for 2024 that we'd be even talking about a game going over to a different platform, much less your biggest competitor? And Phil can say what he wants, because remember at the beginning of the generation, it was, well, we don't really see Sony as competition and all this other stuff, right? But everybody else does.
Right. And they see you as competition.
You built a culture around tribalism, so your fan base definitely believes that they're competition, and you know that.
They look at PlayStation.
You know that. You're not stupid. You're not stupid, because you facilitate the content creators that kind of push it, that push the tribalism, that push the back and forths and stuff like that. So come on.
Yeah.
We're gonna see.
Forte, when you, after you say your piece, I want to ask you guys a question about another rumor that's been going around as well. But go ahead, Forte.
No, I mean, listen, at this point, we did probably more podcasts this week than most, just being on other people's podcasts talking about it. And we still got one more podcast on Saturday to do this once more again. So it's like the story continues. it's something that a lot of people are very, very interested in because we've never really seen anything like this before. Even when Sega did what they did, I mean, the internet wasn't as prevalent back then. Social media definitely was not a thing back then, but it was just the simple fact that even when that happened, it was just kind of like a cold break. It's like, this is the decision, this is what we're doing. And this is just like a build up. And anybody that listens to what Microsoft has been talking about pretty much consistently over the last 8 years has kind of been leading to this. Now, the thing that
Hmm.
everybody is really harping on is the fact that it seems like the fact that Microsoft is finally getting to the point where we can do the game a quarter this year looks like the year that they could actually pretty much come close to at least three of those. So who knows what the future could definitely hold on that. But it's like everybody struggled to basically be in line with what Xbox was doing. And the one thing that's really kind of showed me is all of the people that pretty much was just like, Xbox, we're hanging in there, rah rah Xbox. It just lets you know how much they were really, really kind of upset over the course of the years, but they really just kept it to themselves because you really saw like 0 to 100 on this. It was like, yo, this one single thing wouldn't be the thing that would put you over the edge, but it could be the thing that, if you're taking a bunch of body blows over the course of like 8, 9 years, especially if you're a content creator, yeah, I can see where this would be like the straw that broke the camel's back for a lot of people. But my biggest disappointment in this whole situation, like, I agree with Slomo when it comes to the direction. Exclusive games absolutely matter. The reason I bought my PC the first time around was for Halo because it was supposed to be a PC exclusive. I went out and bought a Voodoo 500 graphics card because it was marketed on the box. That made me pick the graphics card I wanted because of the game that I wanted to play. And I also pivoted off of that when when Bungie was purchased by Xbox and we found out they were going to release it on Xbox, and that de facto became the console I wanted to play because of that one game. And then it just grew from there with Xbox Live and Friends. And, fast forward 23, 24 years later, I'm still making decisions on playing on Xbox because of ecosystem, friends, and exclusives. Not so much the exclusive side anymore, but exclusives was the reason that got me into the Xbox ecosystem. So I can't say that exclusives and friends. I mean, ecosystem and friends are the only reason I got on Xbox. It was because of the games at first, and then everything else kind of grew from that. And I think that's the thing that people got to realize. You came here for the games initially, and you found other things that made you basically want to stay here on top of that. So the biggest disappointment is, though, that we're finally at the point where Xbox can get these games out. It looks like we're going to have a really, really good 2024. And then this happens. And it's like you have a chance to market the Call of Duty franchise a full year on your platform. You get to see what a year's worth of revenue looks like that. You get a chance to see what a year worth of exclusive content that you haven't had in over 5 to 6 years consistently coming out on your platform. You get a chance to see how that's going to react with your fan base, because it feels like and Erasmus keeps saying in the chat, and the one thing I will give him his flowers, it is all rumors. It's like the worst kept rumor because Microsoft isn't saying anything. And then when you come out and put a tweet out saying that we're going to have a discussion next week about the future of Xbox in a Xbox business discussion, it just kind of, then you say we're going to do it next week. It lets me know, like, okay, so you're not even refuting this. You're basically saying, hey, listen, it's a fire going on in the house. We want you to stay in this one room that's got, sprinklers in it and everything. You're going to be fine, but it's going to be a fire in here. The fire is going to keep going until next week. We just want you guys to stay safe in this one room. Stay in this one room. Let the water rain on you. We don't know how to get the fire out yet, but we're going to find out. But guess what? The water's going to keep coming. And that's what it kind of feels like right now. So it just lets me know that, like, dude, this is, they didn't expect this to get out. Or Microsoft didn't expect this to get out. I just think all of this stuff could have kind of happened later after you kind of got a chance to see exactly what the future looked like with Xbox, like decisions like this could have happened at any time. Now this is all off hindsight because this did get leaked out. So if we never knew about this, would this plan be accelerated? Would this be something that happened this year anyway? Is this something that would have probably happened early next year, after they made the decision on where the direction of Xbox was going? But like I said, 2015, this is something that kind of started with them putting their games, first game, Quantum Break, on PC day and day. Then you did Gears of War 5 day and date on PC. Then you did Xbox Game Pass and having games launched exclusively that you didn't have to buy inside of Game Pass, like Hive Busters, the first DLC that you didn't have to pay for. If you had Game Pass Ultimate, you could get it in there. So then you start thinking about all the other games and stuff, and the direction of ABK, and you keep picking up Bethesda, ZeniMax Bethesda, and all of the conversations around that. People leaving because they're upset that their games are going exclusive, they're going exclusive, and then being mad that Call of Duty and their games are going to stay multi-plat. So it's just been a very, very big conversation around Xbox when it comes to all of these games. And guess what? That didn't end, because when they announced Blade, what happened? Didn't even have an Xbox logo up there. What? And that was a conversation. Yeah, didn't even have that up there. So this was something like people was wondering, like, okay, so remember we were trying to figure out if they were just trying to theory, like, okay, Marvel might be doing the marketing on the back end, so Xbox really doesn't have anything to do with the marketing. Or is it maybe Microsoft doesn't know what's going to be going on with Xbox in the future, so they don't want to commit to saying Xbox Studios, instead of it being like something that we might talk about in a second when it comes to things that got leaked out about Microsoft Studios and stuff like that. So that's kind of
like the latter to me, Forte.
Right. Well, that's kind of where
because
yeah, go ahead.
No, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was going to say, because if you have like this major exclusive, like your first full-on superhero related Marvel game, like Spider-Man has been for PlayStation, you have it, you would tattoo that all over the place.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That it is coming to Xbox. So I don't know how many, like we said, this is all rumor, again, throwing up the air quotes, but I don't know how many different, like, bat signals people need before they start realizing something is going on. Because go back to Tim Stewart talking in that investor call meeting about the possibilities and the plans for this, and this. And then you have Satya coming out and saying one thing. And you remember how when Tim Stewart was saying all that, and what we were saying on shows like Crossfire and everything else? Listen to the money. Like, you can listen to Phil. Phil has a certain level. Yes, he's in charge of a lot of stuff. But in a corporate office, the money will always win. The guy that's talking the money knows exactly where they're going to go, what they're going to do, because he deals with the money. So if he's saying one thing, he's probably getting a lot of that directly from Satya. Yeah. And then you have him coming out and talking things too. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Forte.
No, it's like I said, that's really it. It's disappointing, and it's kind of hard to like really, really talk about it, because next week is going to really, really show exactly what's going on. But this is the thing, though. Even after this discussion they're going to have with us next week about all this stuff, there's still going to be questions, because they're not going to answer everything. You're still not going to know every game that's going to be going over to PlayStation if that's the case. You're not going to know what games are going to be exclusive, how long they're going to be exclusive for. It's a good chance you're not going to know any of that. They're just going to clean up some of the stuff that kind of got out there. Hopefully, if this was driven by Microsoft, Xbox can find a way to kind of, get Microsoft to back off a little bit and let them do what they need to do. I don't know if that's going to be the case, because, once you see $70 billion come out of your bank account, even knowing that's a lot of money and Microsoft's worth $3 trillion of it, that's still a lot of money comes out of your bank account. And when you got the bean counters counting that money and telling the board that, hey, this is a decision, that direction we need to go in, unfortunately, the board And the investors will always listen to the bean counters before they listen to the executives overall, because he's the one that pays all of the bills. And that's why I think a lot of people were super upset that Tim Stewart was out talking as much as he was and saying the things that he was. And if you think about it, the things that Tim Stewart has been putting out there kind of lends to everything that we're hearing about in these leaks. So this has been something that's been kind of in the works for like the last 3 to 4 months. And we just
Mhm.
happen to find out about it now. So let's just hope that Xbox or Phil Spencer and them can find a way to turn this around. But next week's going to be a very, very interesting. Um, just who knows what day it's going to happen. But I do think with Phil Spencer coming out saying that we hear you, it's like I like Phil Spencer. I think he's really cool. He's good for gaming and stuff, and he's a gamer. But I do think at sometimes when Slomo says you just need to be quiet, I'd rather them not have said anything than what they said in that post, because it kind of felt like the meme of me sitting in the kitchen with the kitchen on fire saying this is okay. But then on top of that saying, but you can stay here till next week. It's gonna be fine.
Mhm.
That's crazy.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
and I wonder if the reason why they scheduled it for next week is partially so that they could get their very well curated PR statements ready.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So they could make sure that they get their messaging on point, which has been an issue with them in the past, with messaging that doesn't quite deliver on the isn't accepted the way they intended it to be. But also maybe it's because internally they still fighting, and that there's still
Yep.
not quite a one unified direction that they're going with this. And so shout out to the Iron Lords. I was on the Iron Lords podcast last Sunday, and shout out to Lord Cognito, who proposed the question. This question I want to ask you guys as well. And maybe Forza, you could end the poll and then do a new poll with this question as well, so to see what the chat has to say about it.
Yes, sir.
So the question was, if it came down to it, and there were two options, and the first option is all the games remain exclusive. And that's it. Like, no games are going to PlayStation or Switch. They stay within the Xbox ecosystem, which is the Xbox console and PC, and they continue forward with the direction that they've been going. The other option is you lose day and date. Day and date and Game Pass, that is. So what would you rather have? Exclusive games? No Game Pass. Well, Game Pass, you have Game Pass, but you don't have
The day and date is out of Game Pass at that point.
the day. Maybe it's 3 months later. Maybe it's 6 months later. Maybe
Mhm.
they never tell you when it's actually going into Game Pass, but you don't have day and date and Game Pass anymore.
Mhm.
What's more important to you? What would you rather have? Exclusive games, day and date and Game Pass.
It's easy for me because I've been standing on this square since 2016, 2017, when they're continuously introducing new hardware, but with no games to show it off. Starting, with the One X or whatever. Exclusive games. That's the thing. Even in the face of having like Xbox, dudes coming back and saying, "Well, games take time, and exclusives aren't the most important. Exclusives don't matter, and games take time." I'm like, they absolutely matter, and that was the thing that attracted me to Xbox through the OG and halfway through the 360 before they decided to focus on being the shooter box, focusing in on Call of Duty deals versus you know going after and creating exclusive games. So because like we were just talking about the games that bring you in. How many people say, "I don't give a damn what I got to do" when they saw that Gears of War at E3? Like,
A
I don't give a
lot
damn
of
what I got to
people.
do. I got to get that 360 because I've not seen something like that, and that's crazy. From that to the ad campaign to everything else, that was we're talking about generational defining moment in game. That was it, right? And they haven't, to me personally, had that kind of identity since then, because that kind of from there it started a whole shift and into something else, right? So to me, it's always been about exclusive games. Day and date can go. I've never thought that was like the best idea to throw that out there. I said to me that sounds like something like if it was on the side of Nintendo and Sony, they would ease into that. They would never propose that from the rip. Because once you put that out there, you can't ever take that. Not that you can't take it back. It's going to be hard to take that back.
I phrased that differently. Forte, maybe you want to end that poll and redo it because I think I phrased it incorrectly. What's more important is exclusive games to you on Xbox or day and date in Game Pass, because essentially like that's I think the way I phrased it was weird. So because like I'm looking at the poll and it says exclusive game only on Xbox, no day and date in Game Pass. I mean it's kind of should be date. What's more important to you, day and date games launching in Game Pass as they launch?
What's more important and what's best for you is the same thing.
But no, but it's just like no day and date in Game Pass that's not an option. That's not what people want, is what I mean. Like it should be which option is the best option for you, because you see what I mean. So just like do the same poll, just take out the no day and date, and take out the no and just leave day and date in Game Pass. To give the results of the previous poll, which so well mirrored the poll that Spawnwave had. What is the main reason you purchase your console? 76% of the people who did the poll said exclusives is the reason why they purchased the console. 17% said ecosystem or services. 2% said controller input, which was 2% on the Spawnwave poll too. And another 2% said friends. So, of course, much smaller sample size than the 48,000 people that did the Spawnwave poll, but very, very similar results.
But still speaks volume, you know?
Yeah. While Forte is getting the new poll up, I'll speak on it. I agree with you, Eric. Exclusive games are more important. If I'm an Xbox only gamer, it's more important to me that I have content that I can't get anywhere else, and that's the reason why I bought the thing in the first place. Is the reason why I purchased it. Then the platform has games that will be there in the service at launch. Like that's not that important to me, especially when if the game is exclusive here and I can't get it anywhere else, I'll just buy the game. Like I have no problem buying my games. That's sure. Like Persona 3 Reload, I'm playing that through Game Pass because I didn't need to buy it. But if it wasn't in Game Pass at launch, I would have bought the game. And I think that's the majority of people, especially when you kind of look at like Game Pass growth has kind of stagnated. They haven't reported official numbers since they hit the 25 million over a year ago. And sure, we've had the Strauss Zelnick, the CEO of Take-Two, say that it's officially at 30 million. We've seen Jim Ryan at the FTC hearing say it was at 30 million, and they would know because they have games that's in Game Pass themselves. MLB forced Sony to put MLB The Show in Game Pass. Strauss Zelnick has very publicly refused to put any of their games in Game Pass at launch, but at times they have put GTA 5 in there as well as other titles. So you put your games in there, you gotta have like, and when it comes to the discussions between Xbox and Sarah Bond was heading Game Pass for a long time. So Sarah Bond and her people and these publishers, but you know, in that would be Sarah Bond telling you how many people are in the service. So you got this many people that's in the service that could potentially see your game and, you know, curated content away from the massive number of games that are on the store. We get X number of people out of this whatever million that number is that are consistently going through the store and looking for content, and will market that your game is on there, which means you get even bigger focus. And this could drive people to buy the game on discount through the store, blah, blah, blah. Everything, all their pitch that they do to all these publishers, these people have to know what the actual number is. They said it's 30 million, fine. But that's not the growth that they expected, clearly. And that's not the growth they expected, because Satya Nadella, the CEO, used to have Game Pass growth as one of his bonuses, one of his annual bonuses. And he does not have Game Pass growth as his annual bonus no more.
So that may be part of what's going on.
I need my money.
Right. He won his money. And I'm not surprised. And look,
until my money got messed up.
Right. And if the rumors are true that they were putting their games on PlayStation and Nintendo, clearly Game Pass revenue is not enough. It's not enough. They got ABK and they see what Call of Duty does. That's never been in Game Pass. And for them, that has to be something where they think, maybe day and date was a little much. I mean, maybe when we created Game Pass and we came up with this idea, it was necessary because nobody was buying our games.
Yeah, it sounded good.
Yeah, and our games were kind of mid.
Don't that sound good? Don't that sound good? You get everything like day and that. I told you from the moment they announced, I'm like, ooh, that sounds like it might backfire, because you can't walk that back. You can always offer that later if you're seeing things popping. Like, you know what we could do that can make this pop even further. But you've already you came out in the race with your burst. You didn't hold anything back. You came out of the gate full speed, and now everybody else is running, and you're like, shit, I'm out of breath. But I don't have anything else to offer, and I can't walk back what I did.
And that's just it. And I get it. I get from the people who were on the day and date side, the people who are angry that they could lose that. You know, whenever this question is poised, the rumors that are out there, what I mentioned earlier, there's rumors out there that Call of Duty won't be in Game Pass, and people who are upset about that. You should be upset about that, because that's what they promised you. That's what they marketed to you. They said these games would be in Game Pass. They said that these games will exist where Game Pass exists. And if everything that we're hearing is true, then they lied. And every person who owns an Xbox or is a part of the Xbox ecosystem is justified in their anger about that. But also on the business side of things, if it turns out that Game Pass day and date has been a detriment to generating the amount of revenue, forget the sales, because they already knew for first party that like it would be difficult for sales. Clearly, Starfield sold fine, but maybe Starfield could have sold more, right? They don't talk about the metric of how games sell, and they haven't done that for years. But if it turns out that has been a detriment to them achieving the amount of revenue that they need to achieve in order to say that this project, this game, that this developer that we own made was successful, that they decide to start putting their games on another platform, regardless of the damage that would do to their actual platform, then you have to start thinking like, all right, so we got some choices here.
Yeah.
And one of these choices may end up being betraying what we told our gamers, but we gotta do what we gotta do, right, for a business. Yeah.
And I saw somebody in the chat say, you know, I don't know if that was a Rodimus or somebody else, but they said like that would like Game Pass fanboys will riot. But that's an acceptable loss, depending on, you know, like people always say that, you know, Microsoft can survive the reason that they can do a Game Pass is because they can afford to, facilitate it, right? So again, Slomo, I'm gonna say this: I would not be surprised if a lot of the hesitation because of this week of saying, well, we'll talk to you guys next week, because they're looking at everything to say, what can we legally do, because we did promise this and we do not want to face a class action lawsuit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So be prepared for the possibility that day and date could stay there, but you may have to go to a higher tier to get day and date.
Oh, okay.
They
So
may not
like they
remove
make
it.
so you're
Yeah.
thinking like they make either they lock day and date to ultimate,
Or something like that.
or they make a new tier where there's like
which could be
a
that
$20 tier. Yeah. Well, not an ad supported tier, which that's another rumor I've heard, but like a new tier that's for exclusive content.
They wouldn't. Yeah. I don't think they would make it. I don't think they would make a new tier. I think they would, because that's still kind of the same legality, because you already told people that they're getting it on those particular tiers. So I can see on those particular tiers, I think you're going to see a point.
They have tiers now too, right, Forte?
Yeah, they have the tiers now. So I can see
there's Xbox Game Pass. There is there's Xbox. There's Game Pass Core.
There's Core,
which
there's
is
Game Pass for PC, and then there's Xbox Game
Pass. There's Xbox
Ultimate.
Game Pass, and then there's Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. Well, wait a minute. Is Xbox Game Pass Core? Are they the same thing?
No, Core is just online. There's Core.
Okay.
Yeah, because you remember Forte, it was like some weird thing, like online was in like the lower tier, but not the middle tier. And then
that's the cheapest option, which is just Game Pass Core. Game Pass Core is basically just
it's what
Live.
replaced Xbox. Yeah, it's replaced Xbox Live Gold. Okay,
exactly. Yeah. And then there's regular Game Pass, and then there's Game Pass Ultimate.
Right.
Okay.
Well, I mean, so far the poll is showing that 67% of you would rather have exclusive games only on Xbox than getting day and date games in Xbox Game Pass.
So, all right. I thought about this. My initial thought on this was exclusive games all day, and I thought about this for a couple of days. Because I don't want to be hypocritical. That's not a word. Hypocritical.
Hypocritical.
Yeah, hypocritical. Yeah, I'm a hypocritical.
That's not a word.
I don't want to be hypocritical about it, because I kind of have a different, unique look at this, being a person that works in retail, and I see what people like to do, and everybody likes to save money. As much as I do agree, we'll never take the part away with exclusive games being like. Would I give up game? Like, okay, I don't care about other people being able to play games. My biggest thing is the promises and the way that you went about talking about this to people is the thing I'm upset about. Like, you made promises like this stuff was going to be exclusive to your platform, and then you are doing a merry-go-round on that. I don't have that. That is what upsets me more than anything. Like, if you would have just came out straight out and just told people, your plans at some point is to put games on other platforms when it comes to like other consoles, I think a lot of people would be a little bit more understanding of that, because I think we always talked about it. Slomo, you made a video about it. Game Pass is the platform. Like the gaming day and date, that is literally what the exclusive for Xbox is. Your games on Game Pass, being able to not have to buy them at a full price. You just subscribe to the service, and that is like technically your exclusive content. You don't have to pay more than what everybody else does. I think the thing that is different in this conversation is the fact that they're coming out and it's being rumored that all of these games that they said was going to be exclusive to our platform, all of these games that they went on, all of these different streams, and Sarah Bond came out during the Microsoft Bethesda showcase and said, and Starfield, that big game that you all been talking about, it's exclusive to Xbox. People don't forget that. You made a big deal to say those games were going to be exclusive to the platform. So by doing that, you kind of pigeonholed yourself into this decision, versus if you just came out and just told people, being very, precise and you know, with your wording and stuff like that, which is something Microsoft hasn't been and Xbox hasn't been for dang near a generation. I think a lot of this backlash wouldn't be as bad because I don't mind if Xbox comes out and says that, hey, Starfield exclusive to Xbox and Xbox Game Pass for 1 year, goes on PC for another. I don't care. I already experienced the game because guess what? We always talk about it, slow-mo. If you are on PC well, even PC, because that's kind of where it's been, PC. But are you really going to be upset if you already played a game and you experienced that game and somebody else gets to experience it a year later? I mean, at that point in my mind, I'm like, I don't care. I already played it. If it gives me a chance to double dip on PC if I want to, play it a little bit better, get better experiences. But if you're doing the same thing, like say, hey, we're going to release it on PC and on PlayStation a year later, even though PC's day and date for the most part. But if we're going to give it to other gamers on other platforms a year later or 6 months later, am I going to be upset? No, but if you make it clear that that's kind of the situation we're dealing with, and your exclusivity is Game Pass, being able to just get the game for $15 or $20 a month, then I think a lot of people will be fine with that. But under the circumstances we are right now, I would pick exclusive games because you're not clear in the messaging. So I'd rather always have exclusive games than have the games that show up in the service, because guess what? That service can always disappear. You may get to the point where that service may not be a thing anymore. But the fact that, you know, you're picking that, the fact that you're making us, or this conversation is around, they're not making us do anything. We don't know what they're doing next week. But the fact that this is kind of like one thing or the other, people are always going to pick the exclusive game because that's what we grew up on. We grew up on buying the consoles for the reasons that we bought them, you know, the games that come out on those platforms, and that won't ever change. It's a reason that Nintendo does as well as they do, because people know that they can't get their games nowhere else. But this, like I said, this ultimately comes down to the messaging by Xbox. If this has always been the plan, at least for the last 2 to 3 years since the Series S and X came out, that you should have came out and told people that, hey, there is a possibility that some of these games, or the words that they use, that select games, when they purchased Bethesda, they said select games, legacy games. That was kind of their out right there. They could have literally said legacy games means games that came out like Fallout and Elder Scrolls Online and all those Elder Scrolls in general, or even games that were in development had the possibility of going to other platforms. They could have said that 3 years ago, but they doubled down because, let's be for real, they were playing to their fans because fans really wanted this. And that's got them in hot water right now, because now the direction that they're moving in, no one likes. So if this was being like, just to finish it out, if I was to pick this based on communication and Xbox actually talked about this stuff and told us what the plan was, I would be like, oh yeah, I'm good with Game Pass, because I don't have to buy as many games. I can just buy the games I want to buy, and the games that you give me, I get in this service. But since you didn't do that, and I don't know what the future of Game Pass is going to be, because let's be for real, for you to do this type of move, that means it must not be doing as good as you think it's going to do. I'd rather have exclusive games, because at least I know that's going to help you keep the boat afloat, you know, in some way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This is I think people still don't understand the way people view things. I think when it comes to messaging for this stuff, Xbox has traditionally been very mixed with that. They've been very unclear in how their messaging is. So much so that like somebody would do an interview, and then there'll be online discussions for days debating the meat of that interview, the meat of the statements that were said, and then there will have to be a clarification afterwards. We never see that with Sony and Nintendo. They're very definitive on what they're doing, and they're very clear, and they kind of, when they do make pivots, they mostly don't make pivots mid-generation. They keep big big shifts in their game plan to the start of new generations. Or in the case of Nintendo, they don't pivot at all. It is what it is. You know where you're going to get Nintendo games on Nintendo platforms, period. in the discussion. Microsoft has been problematic because they pivot so quickly. They tell you one thing, they actually come out and say it, and then they don't do it. VR, for example, right? So this or they do it and then they go back on the things that they said. We do have to give them credit for attempting to push forward in different ways in the industry. You know, a lot of the stuff that we see now going on with a lot of the digital games or, you know, and whatnot are things that they proposed and they tried to do with the Xbox One back in 2013, but they were a little too far ahead of the curve. You know, they out there swimming, trying to catch a wave that hasn't come yet. And maybe one day you can be able to play a PlayStation and play Halo on it, or play an Xbox and play God of War on it. But that day, on one side of things, with an Xbox playing God of War is more than likely super far in the future, because PlayStation is not making those kind of choices. When you're the only one being a pacifist in the middle of a war, it's not going to work out for you. This play everywhere, kumbaya. We all win. When everyone can play, we all win. Not everyone. Not everyone's winning in that scenario.
Winning.
Because we all ain't playing. Because if you are an Xbox only gamer, you are not playing Nintendo games. You are not playing PlayStation first party games. You're only getting the Xbox games. Meanwhile, they're getting those games and more. And so you have to understand how, and I think there are people with Microsoft who don't get this because they aren't involved in this market well enough to understand how these kind of things work. If you say that, let's take PC. It's PC and PlayStation, for example.
Mm-hmm.
When Horizon Zero Dawn was rumored to be coming to PC, there were plenty of PlayStation gamers that was like, we don't believe it. It's false. It's not real. But then it was real. And when it came out, there were plenty of PC gamers that was like, we getting all of them. Was there a statement at that time that said they were getting all of them? No. But there was an assumption based on one game going that we're getting all those games. And then 2 years later, it was officially stated that they were getting all those games.
Mm-hmm.
But the assumption was there ahead of time. People made a conscious thought in their mind and a decision to not buy a PlayStation. PC gamers, maybe they were considering it. Maybe they wanted to play the next Spider-Man. Maybe they wanted to play Miles Morales. But now I'm good. Because that's coming to PC. That's coming to Steam. I don't need to buy a PlayStation. And when I get those, I'm going to get the definitive version with all the DLC. And I'm going to have ray tracing, better ray tracing than they ever had on that little closed box. All of that stuff goes into play. Now, let's shift this to Xbox. Let's say you just put Hi-Fi Rush on PlayStation. A little Hi-Fi Rush came out a year earlier. Small game, high quality game. People like it. You put it on Nintendo Switch, you put it on PlayStation. What are the Nintendo players and PlayStation players who may have saw that game and was like, that game looks good. I wish it was on PlayStation. But that's not enough to get me to buy an Xbox. I gotta see something else. And then they see Avowed and they're like, man, that Avowed really reminds me of Elder Scrolls.
Mm-hmm.
It's not enough though. It's not enough. Then they see Indiana Jones. They start to get that itch, and their wallet starts to burn in their pocket. And they're just like, man, and then they see Fable or whatever, and they're like, you know what? I'm buying me an Xbox. It's too much heat over here.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as they see Hi-Fi Rush is going to PlayStation, what's the thought that's going to go in their head? I don't need an Xbox. All those games, they're coming to PlayStation. They're coming to Nintendo, or the Switch too, that could handle them some of the more demanding ones better. I don't need to buy an Xbox now. I don't need to invest money in that hardware because now the games are coming, the software is coming to where I primarily like to play. Even without there being a concrete actual answer to that, even if they come out and say we're not going to do it, your wishy-washy approach to your messaging for years hurts you. Because at one point in time, you said these games will only exist where Game Pass is. Now, that's not the case. At one point, you said we acquired ZeniMax Media to bring exclusive content to Xbox players. Now, it's not the case. So if you come out and say we're only doing Hi-Fi Rush and maybe Forza Horizon 5, but that's it. There's nothing else. Nothing else is coming. Nobody's going to believe you.
Yeah, you go for now.
Right. Yeah. That's what they're going to think. Yeah, you say that now. You'll change your mind later.
Yeah.
and you know what? It's going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy of that, because when people no longer view your piece of hardware as something that's relevant in something that they need, whether you put those games over, whether you put the whole slate of games over there or not, they're not buying your hardware. They're already not buying it 3-1 compared to PlayStation. That will get even worse.
Yeah.
And when that happens, you're basically going to be forcing yourself to put those games over there in order to keep going. And the Xbox hardware becomes even less important. You already deal with the situation where you have Grand Blue Fantasy Relink skipped Xbox. And no, Sony did not money had it. Sony did not pay side games to keep it off of Xbox. They didn't want to put it on Xbox because your platform isn't big enough and you don't sell enough games.
Yeah, and that's what people have to understand. Yeah, people have to understand that too. Like, putting a game on a platform isn't just, .save and then it's on your platform and you're ready to go. Like, there's like dev work that has to go into doing that, and they just feel like they're not going to see the return on investment. And if they didn't get the Game Pass bag, because not everybody's guaranteed the Game Pass bag.
Right.
It's like, well, why am I doing that? Like, I'm not. Yeah, why am I going to take that risk to put it on a platform where people either want day and date, or they're going to go with the mantra of, well, I'll wait to see if it goes in the Game Pass. And dudes can say all day long, well, no, we buy games. Well, the data's not showing that.
Yep.
And there's a reason why developers completely skip. And like Slomo just said, it's not because everything's being money hatted. So you got to stop telling yourself that just to make yourself feel better. It's not always that. Sometimes it's as simple as it ain't popping over there.
Yeah. And frankly, I'm not trying to, like, because I know that there are people who have these ideas of like, oh, if you have these thoughts, you must be a console warrior. That's being dismissive of people's statements and arguments, putting up straw man arguments to defend a position that you can't defend. You don't attack the argument. They got to cut that crap out. You won't, man. Yeah, they can't attack your argument, so they attack you.
Right.
And they try to come up with a method of disarming what you're saying without actually addressing it. These aren't console war decisions. I'm not out here like, oh, I just don't want PlayStation gamers to have these games. What I want is a healthy industry. And what a healthy industry is competition. That's not competition. When one of the three competitors is sabotaging itself due to people who making decisions in leadership who don't understand the industry, that's going to lend to a very even more arrogant Sony.
Yep.
That's going to lead to games being more expensive. You want to know how this industry can go? Look at PC in the GPU market.
Yeah.
NVIDIA has 80% market share of that market. They dictate prices. They basically just be like, hey, look, the 3080 was $800. Well, the 4080 is $1,200 now. Deal with it.
Good deal.
What you gonna do? What you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? What, you gonna not buy it? That's fine. All right, go buy AMD. I dare you. Go buy Intel. I dare you. And they don't. When you don't have competition, the industry leader shows their face. Competition keeps people honest, keeps people treating you better. And when you give up your exclusive games, no, you're no longer competing.
Yep.
And I do not want to see that. I don't want to see an industry where Nintendo, who already does not directly compete with PlayStation and Sony, is the only other option.
And can I say this, Slow-Mo? Like, because saying that about Sony, you also have people that keep jumping out there saying, "Well, why would Sony do that? Because they haven't shown that they would actually." The only thing that you can guarantee from a corporation is that eventually they'll step on the rake, and if they have nothing to really keep them in check, guarantee they will do something stupid, because that's their nature. And we've been around this long enough to see everybody take their turn at being stupid because they thought they had it in the bag.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So because I can remember not too long ago, probably a little under a year ago, replying to somebody on Twitter with all this acquisition stuff. That's the other funny thing you're seeing right now. So most people saying, well, maybe the Activision acquisition wasn't the best idea if this is where it's taking things. And it's like, we don't know that yet. We don't know what the end result of that is. We'll know more as time goes on. And also, I don't necessarily know if we'll get all the answers on next week. So be prepared for that as well. That could be like an ongoing thing. They may address some things, but it could be an ongoing thing. So be prepared for that. But one thing I said to somebody was, why do you guys seem so gung-ho on, a company like Microsoft acquiring everybody, acquiring all the publishers and holding all the cards? Historically, that doesn't go well. Well, what have they shown you from their consumer-friendly position pretty much that would lead you to believe that? I'm like, because they're a corporation. And I've never believed in this whole we're homies and friends because they give certain people access and influencers run around, at brunch and all this other stuff. And, they're a corporation at the end of the day. They're always going to do what makes more sense for them. They're going to do what's best for them. And if they're holding all the cards, to me, it's only a matter of time before they do something wild. Here we are. Whichever way it goes, people have to admit what's going on in the last week or so is wild.
Yeah.
That we're even having these conversations.
And the phrasing of this, the Phil Spencer's tweet, a business event.
Yeah, that's not gamer talk.
It don't sound like gamer talk to me. Look, when the future of Xbox, like when the rumors are saying you're putting your games on other platforms, and instead of stomping that out as foolishness, like if the rumor was Nintendo is putting the next Mario on Xbox, Nintendo probably wouldn't even respond to it because everyone immediately would be like, that's ridiculous, that's not happening. But if people started to believe it and they saw that people were believing it, they would come out and be like, it's not true, period, moving on.
And then they find the person that said it first and sue them.
Oh, it's Nintendo. They might disappear him. They might disappear them and their family. You never know with Nintendo. Just disappear them and make their family indentured servants for the rest of their life, just garnishing their wages. Like that kind of thing. Like that. That's Nintendo's way.
Level their house.
God dang, man.
Stamp them out, stamp them out from existence. Nintendo don't play. PlayStation, people don't believe that because they are not as wishy-washy with their messaging, and no one's gonna believe God of War is natively coming on the Xbox. No, they're not public. That's not happening. If anyone did start to believe it, they'd be like, it ain't happening. But here we are with Xbox, rumors galore, Gears of War, one of your crowning jewels of your first-party content, supposedly going to PlayStation. Hills Phil Spencer, we hear you, and we're listening. It's not inspiring confidence.
No, at all.
We hear you. We're listening. So look, we got this event coming next week. We've been playing this for a little while now, and the rumors you've been hearing about those games, we're going to discuss the future of Xbox at this conference. So come, stay tuned. Come join us. Yeah, that
For the
that
business
that ain't.
event.
That's
The
not. That's
business
not
event.
it.
What does that
That
even, what does
that
that even
don't
mean, Philip?
inspire
Business event.
confidence. That don't inspire confidence that none of this stuff is true. Sounds like you doing some reneging out here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Sounds like if we were playing spades and you were my partner, I'm looking at you with the side eye. Sir, you said you had 7 books. And so and so far,
Rodimus, you can keep believing that, bro. I'm telling you right now, this is not a roadmap for ABK.
yeah, like Erasmus, like come on now, like you're being very, very naive at this moment. Erasmus says, I think this business event is just the roadmap for the ABK games. Then why not say that?
Yeah.
You can say it's a roadmap for ABK games without actually showing us the roadmap, and we would still tune in to the event, that Xbox event, by the way, or Microsoft gaming event, by the way, where you would say, well, here's the roadmap that we said that we were going to show you guys. Instead, you called it a business event, and you even mentioned there were rumors, and you said to stay tuned. You mentioned the rumors and say, like, if anyone, you have to be in your head in the clouds at this point to really believe this is not going to be addressing the rumors.
Yeah.
He literally said rumors in the statement.
Yeah.
What are the rumors?
That is Phil, because Phil is very much that dude where it's like, I don't know. Like I said, Phil seems like a dude you want to have a beer with, chill with, game, whatever, But people also have this thing where, because Phil likes to play Diablo and Vampire Savior, that he's like absolutely one of us. And at the end of the day, Phil has a very good living. Phil has a job that he likes. Phil has self-preservation. So at the same time, Phil understands the damage that can be done by not addressing something when rumors are flying all over the place and your fan base is burning and going crazy.
Can I say something real quick? And this is probably going to piss some people off, but look, I think it needs to be said. How long has Phil Spencer been in this job? Since 2014?
2014. 9 years, almost 10 years.
Almost 10 years in this position.
Yep.
You guys remember how long Peter Moore was in this job? It wasn't 10 years.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, remember how long Donnie D definitely wasn't in here for 10 years. Right?
Nope.
But Sean Layton, Shuhei Yoshida, Jim Ryan only lasted 3 years before he had to tap out. Phil Spencer is a little long in the tooth for this position.
Oh man.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that not to say he's going to be fired or whatever, but like it might just be his time to move on. And honestly, if I am Phil Spencer and I'm not, if the rumors are true, I'm not being given the opportunity to see this through the way that we intended. And what I mean by that is we got all this Xbox Game Studio content coming. We have the roadmap for one first-party game to come out every quarter for the next 3 or 4 years. For the rest of this generation, we could be dropping game after game after game after game. Give us the opportunity to show that these games are quality, that this is a value for the platform, and to bring people in, to sell more hardware, to sell way more software, and to do exactly what we said we were going to do. Immediately after ABK is acquired, now all of a sudden we got a change in direction. Not only does that look sus to the overall gaming community, because you were talking that talk. You were saying, ABK, we're doing this for you guys. You told the FTC that Call of Duty will be going into Game Pass. You said all these things. Now, after that, you're now doing a change in direction now that you got ABK.
and yeah, changing
You're
direction and
doing
what
this
people got to.
before. Yeah, you're doing this before you actually delivered all the. There are studios that they acquired in 2018 that haven't dropped a game yet.
Right. And you're on the hook. That's what I was going to say, Slow-Mo. You're on the hook for all that.
Right. And
Right?
if I'm Phil Spencer,
You're on the hook for all their development. You're on the hook for all of their payroll. You're on the hook for all of their benefits. You're on the hook for all. That's a lot of acquiring that's been done in the last 5 years for not a whole lot to show for it just yet. And now you just added a whole heap more with ABK. So now you're on the hook to make sure Call of Duty's on point. That's a lot.
if I'm Phil,
and people, I'm sorry, go ahead.
If I'm Phil Spencer, if I disagree with this new direction, but they're forcing me into it anyway, hey, I've been here long enough as is. Let me take my millions and I'm going to leave. I'm out. Let somebody else do this.
Ready.
Yeah, let someone else handle this.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't blame them one bit.
No, and the reason that you and Forte can sit here and talk about this with no problem, and we're not grasping at straws, and we're not looking for the silver lining, and we're not looking, because to me, it's not that it won't affect me. Like you said, I want a healthy industry, but at the same time, I go where the games are. I play what I want to play, where I want to play. I don't have any allegiance, loyalty. You can have a preference, like you prefer to play on PC. You know, the platform I'm preferring to play on right now is PlayStation, but I've gone back and forth. But that's how it works. You know, when you step on the rake and you do something dumb, I'll slide over. But all you guys who have bought into the tribalism and this is friendship and they love us and all that's why you guys are having stomach aches right now. Because you feel like a girl broke up with you. You had that same endorphin release right now going on when someone breaks up with you or someone leaves you, drops you off the pedestal or whatever. And it's a corporation doing exactly what corporations do when they have a bottom line. And you bought into this hype that they're the juggernaut with money. Yeah, Microsoft has a lot of dope. And any other product, like you look at what Xbox is over the last few years, if it had to stand on its own, it would have been gone. Without the backing of dad who can put a new library on the college for their, D student son.
You know, usually in these,
right?
Yeah, usually in these kind of internal battles, when the loser ends up leaving the company, that's just how it is. Like, remember Sean Layden and Jim Ryan? They both had different philosophies on where PlayStation should go for next generation. Sean Layden lost. Sean Layden not in PlayStation no more. Sean Layden doesn't work for Sony anymore.
Right.
And
it wasn't ceremonious.
No, it wasn't. There were no tweets like, we thank Sean for everything he did for us.
Nope.
And there's, if you listen to some of the rumors, I mean, I ain't trying to say it, but I'm gonna say it, that he had to be escorted out. Like he didn't leave, willingly. As Mike Ybarra said, they're gonna have to drag me out. Well, that's the guy that got dragged out. Okay, like from what we hear. Okay, so look,
no problem.
That right. See that's how.
For a box, let's go.
Exactly. Don't even get the opportunity to clean up the office. Just we'll mail all this stuff to you. Peace out. Right? Yeah. Like that's what happens in a corporate world when someone loses. It's more than just a change of philosophy, because typically, if you're not on the same page, you're not going to change your mind because the other person won. Like you felt the kind of way about what's going on. I think that like, if it's not Phil, it could be other people that feel that way there, that they don't agree with the direction that things are at, and they're gonna move on to something else where they actually believe in what they're doing. Because that sucks to not believe in what you're doing, but your name's on it. So you don't believe in the direction that we're going, but you're supposed to be out here putting on the brave face, marketing it, really trying to rah this new direction that you don't believe in, and doing all that. Meanwhile, if it turns out exactly the way you said it was going to turn out, who's gonna be blamed for it? You, because you preside over it. That's your legacy. And I'm not saying this is what Phil's going to do, but if I was Phil Spencer, nah, you go find somebody else to head this up. Matter of fact, you go to the business event next week and you tell everybody what you want to do. Don't be having me, you writing the words for me and throwing me out there to say that. Nah, I'm good. I'll sit over here. You tell them the bad news. You tell them that we've been lying to them about Game Pass, or we've been telling them they're gonna have exclusive games for we acquired ZeniMax Media for that, or Call of Duty and Game Pass, whatever it is that you're going to say. I don't need to say that if that's your decision. Tim, you got it, bro. Amy, you want to come through? You want to speak your mind, Amy? Satya, you want to sit up on all the award, with your head gleaming, you know what I'm saying? Shine that head up. You get out there, put some makeup on that thing, and you tell them what's up. I'm not doing it.
What does Satya get up there and say in that video? Let us compete.
Yeah, all right. You compete to keep these Xbox gamers. You do that because if you go out here and say that, then you can go out here. If whatever you can say in the boardroom, you can get PR to figure out the best way for you to say it to the rest of us. Because you made promises, your company did, and then you agreed to certain things, and when you renege on those things, you got to man up.
Yeah. All right. So the opposite of that is they already went down this road of, play anywhere, Game Pass day and date. Sadia came out in an interview and said that games going on other platforms, not be, wanting to have games go everywhere. So that's coming from the head of Xbox, or not Xbox, of Microsoft, which is above Xbox. So what is the compromise going to be? Like, if you had to think about what their compromise to this is, because I still think all of this is still happening. I just think it's going to be,
the games are still going
smooth over.
Yeah.
Oh, this is all still happening, bro. This is all set in stone. They just want to find a way to smooth this over with the community. Some of the Game Pass stuff might change. It might be a situation where they may not. They may try to keep that the same and see what's going to happen with that over the course of the next couple of years. I don't see
Forte, there is no way. There's no way. I don't care who. I don't care. You are Paul Atreides from Dune throwing the voice at people. You can't convince people that you can't make people not be angry about this. Like
no, people are going. That's what I'm saying. So what is the smooth over going to be? So if you had to guess. What is the conference? What are they going to tell us next week? That's going to be is the world going to be over, or are they going to be like, ain't nothing we can do about it when it comes to the fans?
I ain't gonna say that. I was about to say something. I can't say.
No, say it.
No, I can't say. I
want your honest opinion, because that's the first thing that popped in your head, unless you just being messy.
How about I'm being messy? I'll just say I'm being messy.
Okay, you're being messy. Okay, well, like legit. Because let's be for real. This is all happening. They didn't dispel this. Phil Spencer basically said that we're going to have a talk about next week about the leaks and everything. So we know this is going to get discussed, and it wasn't like. And trust me, corporations like this, they know what moves the needle. They could have squashed this earlier this week, but the fact that they let the fire burn, and it's still burning, by the way, it ain't went out yet. The fact that this is still going on lets you know that this is still happening. Whatever part of this leak that they don't want to talk about right now, that they're going to talk about next week, is still happening. Meaning something's going to happen that people aren't going to like. The question is, what are they going to smooth over with people to not make it feel as bad as it feels right now? Because right now it feels like everything's being taken away from them. It feels like Game Pass Day and Day might be disappearing. It feels like Xbox might be rebranding to Microsoft Game Pass. It feels like games are going to other consoles.
That apparently has been debunked. That has been debunked.
I know that.
Yeah, it's not Microsoft Game Pass.
But honestly, the naming conventions of stuff is the least of people's concerns. It's really the exclusive games and the day and date and Game Pass. So what if you had to think about what's going to truly happen or what the smooth over is going to be? I'm gonna ask you, E. What do you think?
I can answer it. Hold on. I can answer it. I can answer it.
Well, I know you can answer it.
No, hold on. Wait.
Okay, look.
One thing it can be. It cannot be Sarah Bond. You cannot have Sarah Bond.
I just told K-Son, we're putting that down right now.
Yeah, but that was apparently the game plan that Sarah Bond would come out and explain this to everyone. Which typically when we
there to do that dirty work,
right? Yeah, typically when we see them do messaging is always Phil and Sarah. Phil and Sarah are always the ones that do the messaging. You go to you see the press conferences and everything, and the showcases is always Phil and Sarah. If they got anyone speaking, it's Phil and Sarah. This guy be Phil. Yeah. Or this guy be somebody from that board who don't understand anything about gaming running their mouth. It's got to be one of them, because I do not want to see a glass cliff kind of situation happening here. And to explain I know some of us understand what a glass ceiling is. A glass cliff is when you have a situation in which women or women of color, Black women, are promoted to higher positions during a crisis or a time or some kind of situation of duress where the chances of failure is really highly likely. And instead of you owning it, you promote a Black woman to that position and let them take the fall for it, because we've already seen on social media people calling her a woke promotion.
Yep.
We've already seen this past week where people were discussing all these rumors and blaming her. She's president of Xbox. This is her. This is her fault. And it's just like, no, you better not try her out there and do that. I refuse. I'm talking the heat I would have for them for doing that.
Yeah, I don't tend to get triggered on timelines, but that one, there'll be some interesting vocal things on that one. Because
you want to see me rooting for somebody to fail? I will root for Xbox to fail at that point, because you're not going to be promoting people who and then throwing them to the wolves like that. Nah, I'm good. you better not.
If that's how you feel, you missing the point of what we're talking about, bro. Because they'll put her out there, and all this mess will be blamed on her. Yeah, she's a strong woman. Yeah, she can handle things, but it's one thing to be able to handle something that you made the mess on. It's another thing to be blamed for something that you had nothing to do with.
This is not about.
It should be called everything but a child of God. Things that people would never have said to Phil in the 10 years of him either succeeding in something or stepping on the rate. They would never treat or say that to Phil, but they will absolutely have no problem saying it to Sarah.
Yeah, Sarah is overqualified for the position that she's at. She's overqualified for this position. So no, I'm not saying that she can't handle the position. What I'm saying is this statement, this event, this message that they couldn't just tell us, that they had to set an event a week in the future to tell us, should not be done by the very first statement from the Black woman that you created a position for and put in that position. That should not be her first statements to everyone, especially if this is not what she believes in, if she's not the person that's driving this. If Sarah is the person that is saying we need to put our games everywhere, all right, well, I don't think that's the case, and I disagree with her. But if that is her feeling, go ahead and say it. You're the one that you believe it, you own it. But I highly doubt that's the case, considering her being president of Xbox. This kind of decision is cutting her legs out from under her right when she's just getting started. I don't think that's the case at all. But now to get to Forte's question about what I expect to happen, what I think might happen, I think some of these games have been pushed back on. We see some of the content creators who have come out and said, "Oh, well, you know, I feel a little bit better about this now." Some of the same ones that were freaking out like 2 days earlier. Oh, every day, you know, everything's fine. Hey, people were blown this out of proportion as if like that wasn't them like 48 hours ago.
Yeah,
I think some stuff has been walked back. But I think that there are still games that are going to PlayStation, which is still, to me, in my opinion, is no different than the whole slate of games that we saw that were rumored going, as far as I'm concerned. Now, that said, I think in a way to smooth this over, I think they're going to start discussing some of their plans for the future. They may even show us some prototypes of things. They may even try to make an announcement or two, an announcement or two, or something that they don't have quite like the finalized hardware for, but it's to generate some excitement after delivering some bad news. And I think that might be something that they may attempt to do in order to kind of quell some of the flames that they know they're going to get for these decisions and for going back on their word when it comes to certain things. So
yeah,
there are rumors about I ain't saying it. I ain't saying it because I think they might talk about like the future of Xbox and what they got planned. And if that is the case, they may try to excite the Xbox game player base with what they have in store. And that's it.
Yeah.
What about you?
And I agree with you, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Well, that's well said. I don't really have anything to add to that because I think that's pretty much what it's going to be too. They're trying to figure out what they can do to kind of like smooth it over, to not make it seem as, you know, as bad. And on top of that, based on history, why would they be too afraid? Because they know they have a certain amount of the base that will also acquiesce to whatever they say. So it ain't gonna be 100%. Even if it was like really bad, they're gonna have a group of people who are at the ready to make it okay for them because they need it to be okay.
Right. So you're going to have that. You're going to have the people who are going to, agree with everything that they are planning on doing, and act like it's no big deal that they, went back on things. Basically, it doesn't matter what they say. The end result for some of these people is they're going to defend Microsoft's side, and then you're going to have your gamers that we've seen a lot of them speaking up now. Xbox gamers who are not agreeing with that direction, but we'll know for certain next, and we will definitely either do a emergency live stream afterwards on Monday or Tuesday, whenever it's going to be, and definitely discuss it further on the next episode. But it's already getting late, and I'm not trying to keep Eric any longer. It's past midnight out here on the East Coast. We about to have rough days tomorrow. So let's go ahead and just wrap this up. Eric Jackson, thank you for joining us once again. I did have your Twitter account in the socials. I'm sorry, in the description of the previous stream. Okay, cool. Okay. I just really want to make sure. Guys, follow Eric Jackson. Very insightful, very informative, intelligent gamer. Someone who's always even killed and definitely provides his perspective without capping for a corporation. So I always appreciate your perspective on it, bro. And anything else you want to Anything else you want to add? Anything I missed as far as because I got your Twitter account, but like anything else you want to promote?
No, man. That's it, man. I just always appreciate you guys having me. You know, you're two of my favorite people. Like for real talk, there's like a handful of people that keep me in this asylum because most times I don't see the value actually being in Twitter per se, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a handful of people that I like to engage with and keep in touch with, and who like keep me coming around, keep me in that realm, you know. And you and Forte are definitely two of those people. So I always appreciate, you know, you guys have me on to chop it up with you, and anytime, man. So again, thank you.
No,
Yeah,
man,
no
we
problem, man.
appreciate
No
it.
problem.
You make it easy, bro. Trust me.
Real
Thank
quick, I
you.
want to
Thank you.
shout out to Kay Asante in the chat from the Gaming Circle podcast. Kay said he's going to be on vacation next week, so he's probably going to be out in the Cancun somewhere or something, somewhere warm, yelling at his phone with all people around him looking at him
10
real
toes
weird,
down.
whatnot.
10 toes down. His girl gonna be like, "What you yelling at?" Something just happened on the internet, girl. Don't worry about it. 10 toes down.
Forte, what you got going on for the rest of the week? Any videos you dropping?
Yeah, the thumbnail you guys saw earlier, that's going to be the next video talking about the multiplayer and what's it like if these games go multiplayer, what it can mean for Xbox. That's going to be coming up tomorrow morning. Actually, it's already done. I just was making a thumbnail for it today. So we're going to be talking about that, and then playing some games with Slow-Mo, some Call of Duty. Was going to play tonight, but the show went kind of long. But, you know, it is what it is. We knew it was going to be a lot to talk about. Can you imagine if we didn't do that stream on Monday, how much longer this show would have been? Oh, my God. So much longer. But, no, really appreciate everybody. Shout out to the over 50 people that showed up to the show. Really appreciate you guys. And with that being said, I have channel members over here that I can say shout out to you guys. You guys always supported us, and you know this isn't necessary, but it's definitely always helpful.
Appreciate it.
Corey Hale, your boy Roy, FTW, Darnell Brown, Erodimus, Brat Basement Radio Arcade Podcast, Stardust Acero, Ramon Terrell, Argy Shani, Slow Backslap, DJ Oris, and that guy Smitty. Really appreciate it once again, guys. And enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the games you're playing. The weather looks like it's getting a lot better. So get outside and enjoy yourselves with your families. We'll see you guys next week.
And on my side of things, I got your boy Roy, Stardust Acero, FTW, Corey Hill, Donnell Brown, J0387, Enrique, Hargi Shani, Truth Serum, Trevor Birdsong, the actor extraordinaire, Homie Juan Kenobi, Game of Forte, and that guy Smitty. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your night, whatever that is, because it ain't much left of it. We appreciate the 40 of y'all who were still here at 12:30 in the morning. You guys are awesome. But do drink some coffee early and often tomorrow because you're probably going to need it. We're out. Peace out and play your games, man.
Peace.
Later.